You are listening to the Southwestern American Choral Directors Association Connections podcast, where we will interview choral directors, leaders, and movers and shakers within our region. I'm your host, Dr. Jeff Wall. We hope you enjoy these conversations. Please like and subscribe this YouTube channel for future content. Hi, friends. Today I connect with Dr. Betsy Cook Weber. She is the Madison Endowed Professor of Music and Director of Choral Studies at the University of Houston, Moore School of Music, and is also active internationally as a conductor, clinician, adjudicator, and lecturer. Her accomplishments are great and many, and as always, I will place the rest of her bio into the description of this video. I do encourage you to go down and take a look. I think you're going to really enjoy this conversation as well as we lead up to this 2024 Denver conference. There's a couple of times in this recording where our connection froze, but I think you'll get the gist. So without further ado, Dr. Betsy Cook Weber. Well, thanks so much for joining me for this Connections podcast.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll give a more description about you and your bio and all of that into the description of this video. But could you tell us a little more about you and your musical upbringing and your influences?
Yes. Well, I'm Betsy Cook Weber, and I'm a Madison Endowed Professor of Music and Director of Choral Studies at the University of Houston. I'm a native Texan. I had fantastic music teachers, grade school through high school, and they are probably my biggest influences. And then I had fantastic instruction at North Texas, Westminster Choir College, and then at University of Houston. Influences too numerous to name.
Okay, well, good. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're going to do for us here for Southwestern ACDA and what you're looking forward to specifically?
Well, I'm going to be the conductor of the Collegiate Honor Choir. I'm really looking forward to it a lot. And we're trying to change the paradigm a little bit by involving a lot of student leaders, both as section leaders and as conductors. So I'm looking forward to trying to create a different kind of honor choir, which I think might be useful for collegiate honor choirs. I've done several before using kind of the model of a high school honor choir, but I feel as though college students, we should be supporting our future conductors as much as possible. And so I think this is perhaps one way to do it. I chose the repertoire for this choir a long time ago, but I looked at it again this week and I thought, yep, that's a good program. So I'm looking forward to meeting college singers from all over our Southwest division and working with them in a collaborative, fun approach.
Yeah, we really want to encourage everybody to seek out these opportunities to work with you with the Collegiate Mixed Honor Choir, and for collegiate directors to encourage their students to do that as well. So I'm glad to get to know you a little bit better today in this podcast, and hopefully this will prompt that as well.
Yeah, I hope we have a really great turnout.
Yeah, me too. What is a piece of music that you think best embodies your personality? It doesn't have to be choral music, but it can be.
Well, you fed me this question in advance, and I had to think about it a long time. And so I came up with two pieces. The first is Love Is All You Need by the Beatles. I think that absolutely describes my approach to life and music making. And secondly, Our House by Nash, Stills, Crosby and Young, because I think that those of us who are interested in the arts also have to have a kind of practical side to our lives. It's easy to think that the passion we have for our art form is enough, and in the end, we really have to pay the rent and take care of paying the bills too. So those two pieces.
I love that, and you are actually our first guest that has chosen something outside of the choral realm. So congratulations, that's awesome. I love those choices. Okay, so along those same lines, what is your desert island choral piece? One that you have to live with until you're saved?
Yeah. There, of course, there are, that list is long, but the piece I would choose is Bach's St. Matthew Passion. There's so much to it. You could study it and listen to it and think about it the rest of your life, and you would never come to the end of finding meaning and beauty and genius in that mighty work.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. You could choose just chorus one. And
Yeah, good point. And I mean, I love the St. John Passion. I mean, but it would be Bach.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that answer. Okay. Do you have a particular philosophy of programming that you use regularly?
Yeah. I read an interview with Kent Hatteberg, who's the, wonderful choral director at Louisville. And in that interview, he said he spends as much time selecting repertoire as he does rehearsing it. And that was a mind-opening aha moment for me, because it takes me a long time to select repertoire. And I kind of thought maybe I was just not very gifted at it, but that gave me permission to be slow. So I look for variety in style, stylistic periods, variety in affect, slow and somber, paired with something fast and edgy. I like variety in difficulty. So I like there to be some pieces that the singers can just virtually sight read in the first rehearsal, and then some pieces that really give them cold sweats at night thinking about it. That's something they really have to work on. And so variety is what I'm looking for. I like to take risks. I like to program pieces that I'm not entirely sure the singers will be able to sing really well. And if we grand attempt, that's just fine with me. So I do not play it safe when I program. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and the breaking out into cold sweat, that that made me laugh behind the mute button here.
Yeah. Well, it's I think it keeps us alive. It keeps us on our toes. Let's see if we can pull this off. And sometimes we usually pull it off, but sometimes just barely.
Right. Well, we need that in our programming. We need that
So
push and that challenge. Yeah, absolutely.
And the program I've selected for the honor choir has all of that in it. It has some relatively simple music, not really, but kind of. And then there are some pieces I'm not at all sure we'll be really able to do them well. But that's the challenge. That's the joy.
So a little curveball. Can you think of one that you've programmed for this concert that you want to throw out there and get people excited about?
Yeah, well, yeah. I'll just run the whole program. We're
Oh,
doing
cool.
the Vidi Aquam by Kevin Podworski, who's a SWACDA composer. I find it hard. It has a brilliant piano accompaniment. It's difficult. A lot of mixed meter, kind of edgy. I think it's beautiful. And then another piece by SWACDA composer Christopher Harris, Hallelujah for, which is almost sight readable, but it's one of those pieces that is so simple that it's be serene and clear, and it's a honey of a piece. And then we're doing a kind of mini major work by Antonio Lotti. We'll do it with strings. It's his Credo in F. And inside the Credo in F is the very famous motet, the Crucifixus, in 8 parts. Lots of people know that. It's excerpted all the time. But that movement is part of the Credo in F. And some of those movements are just very, very simple to read, but they're kind of like Christopher Harris's piece in that they need to be just clear, and a mini major work that all conductors will be really happy to know about. And best of all, it's on public domain. So the scores are free. And then we're going to close with what I think is the hardest piece. It's an arrangement of Freddie Mercury's Somebody to Love. And it's an 8-part divisi with kind of a sub chorus. Also, it's hard, but it is so much fun to sing. So it's a good program. It's a challenging program.
Absolutely. Sounds fun. I want to sing those pieces.
Well, come on.
Right. So how might you describe what a typical rehearsal would look like under your direction?
Well, for SWACDA, as I said earlier, we're hoping to include all students for section leaders and 2 students to conduct and rehearse 2 of the pieces. So I hope it'll reflect what we do at the University of Houston routinely, which is engage lots and lots of student leadership. I've been told that my pace of rehearsals is fast. I guess that's true because people seem often to be startled by it when I first step on the podium. I think I've been told that my rehearsals are intense. I think that's probably true. I'm kind of an intense person, but I have also been told that singers feel supported, and it's not a scary intensity, but kind of hopefully an energizing intensity. And I hope rehearsals are fun. I mean, the rehearsals are the point, even more than the concert. So fast, intense, collaborative.
Yeah, that's excellent. Do you have any pointers for emerging choral leaders?
I have one short sentence. The devil is in the details. So by that, I mean that as soon as you forget to reserve a room, it doesn't matter what a genius you are on the podium, you will not be making good music that day. As soon as you forget to study your score adequately so that you haven't really decided if you want to put a lift or a carry in a certain place in the score, you're going to kill time. The devil is in the details. And what I try to teach my own students at undergraduate and graduate level is that the grunt work involved in being a successful choral director cannot be adequately described. All the veterans out there will be nodding their heads. I spend 95% of my time sitting at my desk, calendaring, marking scores, paying bills, invoices, planning budgets, lots and lots of non-musical things. And if I dropped the ball on any one of those tiny, tiny details, then my music making will be negatively impacted.
Yeah, preach. That's for
sad,
sure.
but true. I mean, it is what we do. And I think until students do that in their own place, they just do not know. And it's going to impact their success or not.
Well, those two answers that you just gave, the fast pace of your rehearsal process, I think that's going to attract all of the collegiate singers wanting to come and work with you, because I think that's what they're going to be hungry for. And then secondly, your answer right there is going to prompt choral directors to come and watch you work in these rehearsals. So,
well, I'll be sending out marked scores. I mean, all my students, all my concerts at wherever I go, I mark scores a lot. And I expect singers to have those when they walk into first rehearsal, and then it saves us a ton of time.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't be fast paced unless you have all of those details ironed out. So,
right.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you do to relax or fight burnout?
I've been doing this a long time. I have never been burned out. And I think it's because my husband and I have a lot of friends, none of whom are musicians, and we love getting together with them. We are avid walkers. I used to describe ourselves as hikers, but our vacations are walking vacations. So we love to walk, and I love to read. And I don't read particularly lofty things. I love cheap spy thrillers and things like that. So those are I think are three things. And I've had a long, happy career, and it's in large part because I do plan my non-choir time. I mean, you have to plan that as carefully and with as much devotion as you plan your work. And that's where I think some of my friends and colleagues have dropped the ball. I mean, you have to work to spend your time in fun, productive ways outside of work.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah. And the non-choral things is the key there. You can have choral friends. We all have choral friends. We love that. But I think it's important to have time away from the profession, and where you're not tempted to go into shop talk, so to speak, with your friends, and then just getting out and doing something completely separate from choral music.
Yep.
I think that's beautiful. Okay, so we've kind of reached this cello rondo round. It's a lightning round. And our goal is to achieve tempo presto here, but towards the end of I know it's cheesy. I'm sorry, but
Perfect.
okay. So what is the worst job you've ever had outside of choral music?
Easy. So in order for me to go to college to North Texas as an undergrad, I had to pay my own way. And to do that, I figured out if I could get a summer job and work from the day I graduated from high school until the day classes started at North Texas, I would just be able to make it. So I got a job at the Sears and Roebuck Service Center. I was lucky to get the job. And it involved taking complaints from people whose washers and dryers and air conditioners were under warranty, but who had been told by the first round of telephone operators that their service appointments would be like 9 weeks from that day. So by the time they got to me, they were already furious. And then I had no ability to move their appointments up. I was just the person who sent out the same message again. So they would call my number and be mad already. And then I had nothing to offer them. It was a terrible job. And the worst moment of all was when this woman called and said, "We live in a mobile home in Houston. It is 100 degrees outside. Our air conditioner went out and my son just had brain surgery and is in this home." And I had to say to her, "I'm sorry, but it will be 3 weeks before a serviceman comes out." It was terrible. It was incentive to get a college education.
Yeah, I've had those kind of jobs before too. That's
And
rough.
I worked that job 3 summers and just dreaded every minute of it, at the same time being grateful that I could, go to college as a result of that summer. And I spent not one penny, not on a Coca-Cola out of the vending machine or a lunch out or a movie. Every penny went to paying for my college.
I can relate to that 100%. Yeah, but God bless you and God bless those people that do those kind of jobs, because that's really rough.
Yeah, and shame on Sears.
Right.
I think they're bankrupt now.
Yep. Okay, so what is your guilty bad food to eat? Your guilty pleasure?
Oh, every person who knows me knows the answer to this question. Peanut M&Ms.
Peanut M&Ms. Okay, so we know what to bring you during breaks for collegiate mixed honor.
Or not. I mean, it's gotten to the point where when I have a meeting with somebody and they really want me to say yes, or, they start by putting one of those giant bags of peanut M&Ms on the desk. Yeah, it's a terrible addiction.
Well, I love them too, so you're not alone. If you had to do any other job besides being a musician of some kind, what would that be?
Oh, Jeff, that just stumps me totally.
Yeah, because this is what we love. This is our passion, right? This is what we were meant to do. But yeah, it's hard to think outside of our normal sphere.
A national park ranger.
Okay, I love that. I love that answer.
Leading nature walks and, pointing out beaver dams. And yeah, I think that would be, and living in some little lodge with other rangers, just kind of a simple existence. Yeah, that I would love to do that. Maybe I'll do that.
There you go. Okay. I love that. Great answer. Okay. What is the scariest moment in your life, or what is your biggest phobia?
Scariest moment in my life. I think when being pregnant is scary. We have one fantastic daughter. I was healthy for the whole thing, but yeah, it's scary. You of course hope your child will be healthy when they're born. And you worry that you won't be a good parent. And you worry about their safety. So parenting and leading up to parenting is definitely the scariest thing I've ever done. And phobia, claustrophobia. I don't like to be in tiny, small places at all.
Yeah, I get that. Yes, I relate with you on the parenting thing too. It's one of the scariest things I've ever had to do, and continues to be the scariest thing.
And the most joyful, though.
Absolutely.
You don't want to scare people off from being a parent. And everybody
No.
tells you your life will never be the same, which is absolutely true.
Yeah.
But
It's,
if you're
it's beautifully bittersweet.
yeah,
I love it. Okay. If you could have any four people on the choral Mount Rushmore, imaginary choral Mount Rushmore, who would you choose?
okay. Well, you gave me a tip that this was coming, and this took some thought. So my first person would be an amalgamation of every woman who has propped up a man in our profession without having equal, fair access to high artistic opportunities. And, just to name a few SWACDA women who I love and admire, and the list just would go on and on, I would include, and this would not be limited to these fine women: Sally Schott, Janwin Overstreet Good, Jo Skurlock-Dillard, Denise Eaton, Diane Brumley, Janice Bradshaw, and Margie Camp. All brilliant administrators who have really served the profession. We wouldn't have choral music without people like this, almost all of whom are women. But those women also are fine artists. And whether or not they ever hoped to get some really high-level artistic opportunities, and some of them have or not, I think our culture has not always been as supportive of women as it should be.
Right. Yeah. You're getting snaps and applause from me behind the speaker only view here. So
Thank you.
Yep.
Well, and my most important mentors have been men who've been extremely supportive. So then, of course, I would put Robert Shaw up there. You can't have Mount Rushmore without Robert Shaw. I would put Andre Thomas up there, not only, just in his own right as a collegiate educator, as a conductor, as an author, as a composer, but also as a representative of African Americans who have in choral music contributed so much to our canon. And then I have to put my Westminster Choir College teacher up there, Joseph Lummerfeld, who is a name that, many people will know, but many people will not. His output as a conductor, both with Westminster Choir and Westminster Symphonic Choir's preparations for Spoleto Festival, New York Philharmonic, Philadelphia, all of his recordings. He left, and then his students who absolutely feared him, but also adored him. He would be on my Mount Rushmore.
yeah, all very formidable and influential people to the profession. So great choices.
Thank you.
What is something that you spend way too much money on?
Travel. Worth every penny. But if we need to cut back, that's where it needs to be for sure. But we're past the point of wanting to acquire things. And
About experiences, right? Experiences.
Yeah, we are really into that. So yeah, travel, but we'll give that up if we have to, but I hope we don't have to.
Sure. Is there a secret talent that most people would be surprised to learn about you that you have?
No. I don't think so.
Okay. And if you could have any superpower, what would that be?
I'd love to fly.
Get you to those travel places quicker, for sure.
Yeah, or well, maybe not, but it's cheaper. As a younger girl, I used to have dreams of flight all the time. And I know there's some significance to that, I think, and they've kind of disappeared. But yeah, if I could fly, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I would agree with that one too. Okay, so that's the end of that Accelerando round. So congratulations. You kind of hit on some of this question earlier with your choral Mount Rushmore, but specifically, who's another choral musician or group of choral musicians that you might like to lift up?
I would like to lift up two people. The first is Robert Simpson. Houstonians definitely will know him. He is the artistic director of our professional Houston Chamber Choir in Houston. They are looking forward to their 29th season. They, a couple years ago, won a Grammy for their recording of the Durafle's complete choral works. And to keep a small nonprofit group like that going for that extent of time with high artistic levels and a wonderful educational outreach is just quite an achievement. In addition, he is, I don't know his exact title, but he's head of music at Christ Church Cathedral, our Episcopal Cathedral downtown. So he's not active in the collegiate school circles where I live mostly, but he has contributed so much to the life of Houston choral music. And the second person I'd like to hold up is my dear friend who retired some time ago, but is as fine a choral director as anybody I know. He now lives in Louisiana, and that is Keith Dixon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It seems like I've worked with Keith Dixon in seminar before. So yeah, fantastic musician.
Fantastic musician. And when I need new and inventive repertoire ideas, I call Keith. And even though he's retired, he's still kind of into it. So a good friend and a fantastic musician.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So what are some goals that you have maybe for the academic year, for 2024? What are you most looking forward to?
I have a meeting with our new Moore School of Music director this afternoon. So I've been thinking about this a lot. I mean, to put it into one short phrase, to make more music better, more efficiently, with better technical prowess, to get closer and closer to an ideal professional model, still retaining student ownership and the esprit de corps that we really enjoy at University of Houston, but make more music better. So that's my goal. We have some exciting performances ahead. We're doing Rachmaninoff Bells in December with our orchestra. It's a Rachmaninoff year, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my 15 of our top choir will be singing with Houston Chamber Choir on the Talus Spem Inalium in the fall, because it's a bird year, and bird and talus go together. I mean, that's that 40 voice motet with one on a voice part. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm guest conducting Houston Chamber Choir in April 2024. I'm looking forward to that. Some students are booked to sing with our early music orchestra, Ars Lyrica. And I serve as chorus master for our we have two professional early music orchestras in Houston. We are so lucky. The Mercury is the other one, and I'm chorus master for them. So I'm preparing two Bach cantatas for their opening night for them, and doing region choirs and a festival in Mississippi. There's just a lot going on, which is fun.
Yeah, quite busy. It sounds like. Well, thanks for sharing some of that repertoire too, because some people might want to look into those performances and come and see them, hear them.
Please do. We have a UH choir website and all that stuff. Even the stuff that I'm doing that's not involved with U of H students is on there. It's uhchoirs.org.
Love it. Okay. Well, we'll also try to put that into the description of this video so that people can find that easily. But where can people get in touch with you if they want to try to connect?
I'm a Facebook, fan. I understand people who don't like it, but I love Facebook and I'm active on Facebook. So you can just look up Betsy Cook Weber. And my email, the easiest email is bweber, WEBER @UH.edu. And I welcome any emails or chats or whatever. It's fun to connect.
Very cool. Well, thank you again for joining us for this Connections podcast. And we hope that this is a doorway for people to connect with you, get to know you a little better, hopefully prompt some activity for the Collegiate Mixed Honor Choir. And we look forward to seeing you work.
Thank you, Jeff. This was really fun.
Yeah, for me too. Thanks.